Bondage play as a substitute for prayer. Slack bodies need a chain, a tightening. Because I have a good life, because the scales are tipped too far toward my own contentment, I ask my man to put his hands around my wicker throat and squeeze. I'm familiar with the consequences of happiness. When we become too easy in our lives, God doesn't waste his time making an example of us. Better that I take my beating from a hand I love. When beauty and pleasure cling to my static legs, when fortune's grotesque and comely filaments cloud my hair, I know to ask for pain. Without the wick of wire, I fear God on earth, his deep hands churning through the most tender porches of my body, the shadows he commands my fine rails cast. I'll take my punishment from my man, or this bed becomes my unlacquered black ocean, my bottomless potato field, my factory floor where unseen hands hold me down, my church where I can't even say, yes, hit me. There's only so much goodness one body can hold. So I just finished that Stegner Fellowship last year and moved from San Francisco to Pennsylvania a couple of months ago, and I feel like I've just been moving for years from one side of the country to the other side of the country and doing a lot of travel in between, and so many of my poems try to combine places and put places together, so I thought I would read a poem that tries to put places together. This is called The Light Behind Her Head, the Bright Honeycomb of the Sky. At night, his long body works above me, late into the hours that make themselves from dust, crafting the landscape out of midnight's cloth, pulling Stockholm from behind the moon, its blue skies rendered in Delft ink, the cobblestone piers that part the water at its glistening seams, and then the summer, evenings on the Hudson, a New York he's making in my legs now, those runs past Ellis Island, Our Lady of Liberty swung out beside Tribeca's ragged shoulder, her fragile skyline shaped with dusk's gold filigree. There are the deaths that terrify me still, because they have not happened yet. He'll wash them from my eyes with Japan and all her colored scarves wrapped around the limbs of trees that forget themselves in blossoming, like the flowering corset that is the world doing up her stays each morning, shaping herself again to hold us all in semi-precious light. So one of those places that I lived in the last few years was a cabin in the wilderness. I was the Marjorie Davis Boyden Wilderness Writing Resident for 7 months on a piece of land on the Rogue River, 2 hours down a dirt road from the nearest town, completely off the grid. And I thought I would read you guys a poem from that place. This is called Across a Great Wilderness Without You. The deer come out in the evening. God bless them for not judging me. I'm drunk. I stand on the porch in my bathrobe and make strange noises at them. Language, if language can be a kind of crying. The tin cans scattered in the meadow glow, each bullet hole suffused with moon, like the platinum thread beyond them, where the river runs the length of the valley. That's where the fish are. Tomorrow, I'll scoop them from the pockets of graveled stone beneath the bank, their bodies desperately alive when I hold them in my hands, the way prayers become more hopeless when uttered aloud. The phone's disconnected. Just as well, I've got nothing to tell you. I won't go inside where the bats dip and swarm over my bed. It's the sound of them shouldering against each other that terrifies me, as if it might hurt to brush across another being's living flesh. But I carry a gun now. I've cut down a tree. You wouldn't recognize me in town. My hands lost in my pockets, two disabused tools. I've retired from their life of touching you. But Montana's really my home. It's the place that I go to in my heart when I'm homesick. So I thought I would read you guys a Montana poem too. This is called 4th of July. If I have any romantic notions left, please let me abandon them here, on the dashboard of your Subaru, beside this container of gas station potato salad and bottle of sunscreen. Otherwise, my heart is a sugar packet waiting to be shaken open by some other man's hand. Let there be another town after this one, a town with an improbable Western name, wisdom, last chance, where we can get a room and a six-pack, where the fireworks end early, say 9 o'clock, before it's really gotten dark enough to see them, because everyone has to work in the morning. I'm not asking for love anymore. I don't care if I never see a sailboat again. So I just got the 2-minute warning, and I have one last poem to read for you guys, and I really want to read it because it's for my friend Matthew, who I miss very much now that I don't live in San Francisco anymore, and I wrote this when I was living here. It's called Some Advice for Both of Us. Just once, let the glossy body lie in its own tangled grasses. Admit the doors, uncoupled from their latches to allow us through, were ones we shouldered open. This is not the way, forcing fruit to sugar in our hands. When our mothers told us to love, they meant that we should wear warm socks to bed. Look at their beds. If the garden is not a garden, and if its tiny lamps illuminate only their own darknesses, we must hold ourselves inside forever. This is what oceans are for. This is why 2 a.m. Because now that touch is less of a medicine, less touch. Thank you.